Hey, my name's Tim Buell. If you're new to the channel and you don't know me, I'm a professional drummer living in Nashville, Tennessee. And today, what we're doing is part 2 of a 3-part series that I called How to Get Better at Music. And basically, I got me, my friend Steven Wilder on bass, and my friend Kyle Turco on guitar. We got together in this studio. We're talking about how to read a room. This is a skill that, again, I think is really hard to talk about just in kind of traditional contexts of lessons. So we got together in a room, and basically what we're gonna do today is we sit down and we play a song we've never played before. I made a chart of a fake song. I gave the chart to them. What we do at the very beginning is we talk through the song over the course of about 1 minute, and then we play the song. And then we talk about kind of what happened, what went great, what we could do better. And then at the end of the episode, we kind of play the song again, but we tweak a good amount of stuff and kind of try to simulate a real world request that an artist or a producer would make. And I think the value of this conversation is we really do talk about how to read a room. That is a skill that you can't really teach in traditional lessons because it's something you kind of have to learn with experience, but it's something that's really, really important. I know so many musicians that are super talented at music, but don't know how to read a room. And that's sometimes held them back from certain opportunities or getting more work because, you know, when they're in the heat of a moment, when they're trying to communicate something in a rehearsal or at a jam session or in a studio scenario, they don't know how to read the room and tell okay, I kind of want to say this, but maybe I shouldn't because that's not the vibe. So this is a really important skill. This episode highlights something that I think is really true, which is your music ability alone really doesn't mean anything if it's not partnered with skills that can help you communicate and read the room. That has to do with emotional intelligence, having good timing in conversation, knowing when to push and ask and when to not. So that's all the stuff we get into today. Song starts down.
Yep.
4 on the floor.
Yep.
Maybe guitar doing some kind of chug-a-chug. Maybe bass stays out until the second half of the second 4 bars of the verse or something.
Yeah.
Pre-chorus opens up diamonds, much more open. Then we hit those figures on the bar 4 of pre-chorus. Chorus is up, turn, maybe back to 4 on the floor. Verse, full groove. Pre-chorus, hit that diamond 5, but stay up before that.
Yeah.
Final chorus, big. Outro, big. Last bar of the whole song, that 5 chord ends on 4E and Yeah?
Okay.
Is that enough to go on?
I think, yeah. And what's the general, what's the Spotify genre?
Pop country.
Okay. Yep.
Pop country.
Pop country. was amazing. You guys sound great. So the things that I noticed is one, not everyone, I won't say who, not everyone caught the ending of the whole song. I won't point out who.
Okay, so
I'm not going to say who.
So I had
It felt weird for some reason. I actually saw it coming, but for some reason, I really thought we were going back to do it one more time.
I had a tapped delay
Read the
on.
ink, brah.
I had a tapped delay on, and I became concerned about it delaying after that. But then I got like mentally, because I don't usually use, this is too much, but I don't usually use this forward sitting. So I got really concerned with trying to turn the delay off in time and just completely just ate it on catching the figure.
That is, though, as like an illustration, just interesting to me, it really, we opened up so much on that outro and it felt great that it really felt like it needed to go another time. So I kind of made an assumption that maybe we were gonna do it more. So it's that tension between, or you're just reading the ink.
Read the ink, brah. Read the.
Or do you use like your, musician-y judgment of like, oh, this clearly needs to rock and roll one more time through this progression.
Which is a much more thoughtful version of messing it up than I had, where I just literally couldn't.
Steven's just trying to build his case.
My blatant screw up was really thoughtfully cultivated.
Other things that I became concerned about was the last chorus has that rhythmic figure on the 5, and we did get that.
Yeah, we did.
That was good. I kind of screwed up that diamond going into that chorus because for some reason I just thought, since the other pre-chorus has the rhythm figure, I just thought, no way we mean that, and we did. That's all right.
The only other thing that I noticed, I mean, honestly, that was pretty slamming. And we talked about nothing. Me and you, I knew that I was going to do this, but I was like, I'm not going to talk about it, and we'll see what happens. So going into verse 2, I knew, since the chorus is boom, cop, boom, boom, cop, I was like, he will probably assume that that's what the verse should be because that's the last thing we did. But I was like, I'm just going to do beat kick on 1, kick on 3, simplify it, and we'll see what happens. And Steven heard it once and then caught onto it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Which is what good bass players do.
Yeah. Nice.
And it was absolutely the right decision. That's like simplifying it like that in the verse, and then it just gives the chorus a little extra something. So,
and then in the pre-chorus,
totally the right decision. And I recognized it the second you did it. I was like, definitely that is the right call.
And in the pre-chorus, it got a little looser in general, and it was a little less specific than either the verse or the chorus. And I think that's fine. It doesn't always have to be, we need to play every single note together or else. But that's the kind of thing too, where like, it can be really frustrating when going into a verse, I'm trying to preempt something like that, and it's very clear the person just isn't listening. And it's like, or it's the kind of thing where I'll look at them and be like, oh no, let's do like your thing. But then they do my thing, and I'm like, no. Okay, we'll do my thing. And then I start doing the thing I was doing, and then they're doing what they were getting. It's like, no, oh God. It's either will work. We have to come to an agreement with who's making the call.
Right.
Because otherwise you just end up trading back and forth.
I turned on a tremolo thing as we started, which ended up cool because I just had to roll with it. But probably on the verse, either I need to play something different or bass needs to come in sooner. Because I felt like, because I know we had talked about kind of like guitar chugging through that, and I just like, it didn't quite feel right, but then it did just feel kind of silly just having me go like chords with like a drum beat. So I don't know if we just have bass.
I respectfully
disagree.
You like disagree?
I liked it.
Well, I was imagining that there is ideally a vocalist.
That's true.
Who is starting the song, and there's
because I almost thought I should totally back out completely and do the like classic guitar
swelly guys.
That's nice.
But without bass, it would be way too floaty, I think.
Yeah, I didn't think it was lame personally.
Okay,
I just think it was missing the vocals, which would be the key feature of
I might stick with my accidental tremolo effect. It kind of worked. It was nice.
Yeah, I thought everything else was like awesome. That went so great. As we were playing, I was like, man, oh yeah, we do this. Melody Chase, shout out Mel. She submitted a question. She said, how do you stay patient when an engineer's style of leading is much different than you like? So I think this applies not just to like sound engineers, but also like in a session, a producer, in a live scenario, whoever's running rehearsal, band leader, whatever. Generally, I think most of us are in this room are fortunate to like usually at least have like not the person doing it be an ass clown. So that's like usually really good. Or whoever it is, like there are certain producers I work with where like we both know where we don't quite sync up naturally, and like we will then both kind of fall toward wherever the middle of how we like to do things is. Like I don't personally love just like, let's do like 50 takes and like it's like no. Let's do like one or two, really nail down what we like, what we don't like, what needs to change, and then let's do like 2 more takes that are like perfectly that thing, and then let's never play the song again. Like what are some of the ways that you all what are some of the tricks where you can sometimes coax a situation to be better when the workflow isn't quite what you're usually most happy with? It's hard to nail it down without like a specific scenario in mind.
Yeah, it really is, because it's so context specific of where I like you said something about give and take, just like any healthy communication or even like a relationship as a metaphor of like you have to choose what are the things that are worth like really like I'm going to directly communicate like I don't think that is the right direction, I think. And framing it positively, obviously. Some of this is just like emotional intelligence skills of like, I have this idea, guys.
Half
like
the game.
I'll bet it would feel really awesome if we approached it this way. But then there may be other times where you just need to let it go and someone is committed to, laying into that part that they've committed to, or the vocalist is committed to, they've heard it a certain way in their head for a long time, and it does not seem like it would be productive to die on the hill of like, we need to change the feel of your song when it is their song and they clearly have some sort of vision for it. But
I was in a session last week and the band was like loading in, and it was before the artist got there. And the artist, he was like, by the way, guys, the artist is young. This is their first like full deal record thing. And they're like not Nashville part of the machine or whatever. So like they've never made a record before. They've never even worked with a live band before. So like totally green. And also this artist has a parent with them and they will be conferring with the parent a lot. So he was like, during pre-production yesterday, I was trying to like, explain gently like what is demoitis and how you fall in love with the demo and how like when you're in a new situation, it's helpful to like get outside of that and blah, blah, blah. But he was like, at the end of the day, there was just a lot of turning around to the parent and asking, what do you think? And there was a discussion. And he was like, so at some point I was like, okay, this is just now a part of my process too. And it's like you're saying, so much of it is you can like try certain things, but you do have to be able to read a room and realize like, I mean, I could totally be like, this isn't how records are made, but it's like, but then at that point, what are we going to get out of it?
Yeah.
And it's nothing good. So, and like a producer that I really, really like, he talks about how like he always tries to frame things. He never tries to say like things in a negative way. He likes to say, like when we got done with that take and Steven played on the downbeat of the last chord, instead of doing what I did, instead of doing what I did now and then being like, oh yeah, Steven played it wrong. Hey, can you next time not play it wrong? You could be like, man, I think there's a missed opportunity for like on the very last chord on the chart. What if we all cut off on the of beat 4? And then everyone can be like, oh yeah, it's a good idea, or it's a discussion. But it's not me being like, oh, Steven, you played it wrong. Just like, don't do that next time. That's a trivial example, but like sometimes that's a very real thing where it's like you're saying, some artist is like in love with the way that their local band that's just a bunch of like people that play in a bar every weekend do it, and you're in a studio situation now where it's like, well, we're trying to do like the best version of this thing, and I don't know if like how you do it at 1 a.m. when everybody's drunk and you're trying to like keep the momentum up. Like that doesn't necessarily have to be how we do it right now.
Mm-hmm.
But then it becomes a thing of like, how far do you push it or not?
It's a hard question of when do you enter that conversation, or where do you assert your opinion or not. I think over the years I've gotten, I would hope to say better at it, at the very least, just more confident on it, in the sense of being able to say like, this does not sound good. Somebody needs to step up and say something, and I'll just be the one to do it. I also tend to bring, maybe forcefully, but I tend to bring the idea that no one's taking it personal, and that if you are taking it personal, that's on you and not me. That doesn't give you the power to just be nasty and rude, but it does mean that you can say, hey, we just ran that and something wasn't working.
Yeah.
My ear wasn't good enough to tell what wasn't working, but can we all say the chords out loud to make sure we're all playing the right ones? Or can we, the feel just didn't work. Is the tempo right? Like, I'm much more willing now to be the one to say it, just because I've played enough stuff over the years that it's just not fun to sound bad. And so I just think it's worth it,
Totally.
And ideally, I also like to think that everyone has that attitude in them. And I know that's not always true, but I at least bring that to the table of just thinking we all want to sound better so we can have this conversation.
Yeah.
That's not a pass to be rude, but it is justification to have that conversation, I think.
I also feel like it's really helpful to be specific in your, like we get done with that and me being like, well, someone screwed up the ending, fix it, is different than be like, oh, hey, just by the way, like, let's all just remember to like end on the of beat 4. It's like not target it at a certain person. And it's also like not you guys suck, I'm better than you or whatever. It's like, oh yeah, man, let's just, I think like everybody caught beat 4. Like, let's just like whatever. The specificity of the musical thing and not the specificity of the you screwed this up the thing is sometimes like good. And I also think like you're saying, if you can come at it from like we're all just trying to make this music better in general, you can be like, oh man, I totally screwed up the chorus thing, so I'm going to try and fix the 4 chord or the blah, blah, blah. Like, and then there was this thing in the verse, like the feel between the bass and the drums was the kick pattern. Like, it could have totally been my ear, but like whatever. It's like, so much of it really is reading personalities more than it is like having like any one way you can do it.
It's a bigger piece to the puzzle than I think I ever assumed when I was thinking about like being in music school or just playing professionally, those kinds of things. You just think, well, you should just practice a lot. But you kind of learn over time that, especially if you start digging into like studio things, that kind of stuff, that how you make like the artist feel, how you make everyone else feel is likely more important than how you play. I think people would rather hire someone that's not as technically good, that's better to be around.
Yeah.
Or people just think you play better if you make them feel better. I mean, that's really, and I always think about like portrait photography or doing like video interviewing and stuff like that. Because I did some video work, I mean, like a decade ago now, but I just wasn't good at that. And so when I would go back to edit footage, I just never had good answers and that kind of stuff. And it was because I wasn't making the person feel comfortable. So they were giving me brief answers, that kind of stuff. And I realized that somebody that had the same camera ability as me or whatever you'd say, but could make the person talking feel way better was going to get better stuff. And I think that applies to the artist or your example, the parent, someone that can come in and make everyone feel comfortable, can make everyone feel supported, appreciated, all that stuff is going to have just better conversations.
Yeah. And
that's
ideally,
that's really hard.
Ideally, you're able to do it not because I know some people that like, I think wisely were able to realize they didn't have as much musical skill as people. And then they were like, I'll just become the person that's like a good hang or the person that studio has like such a cool vibe.
Pro gear.
Or whatever. And it's like, hopefully you're not just doing that side of it, because there is a way to like kind of game the system for a little bit of like, the client comes in town and they feel special and you're like so good at conversation and comfortable and blah, blah, blah. But then like, it'll catch up eventually to where they're like,
It's not
this music, this EP I did with you sounds terrible. Like I had so much fun and this sounds horrible. So hopefully you're able to do both. That's the real, hopefully the thing. Because like you're saying, you will learn very quickly that your musical ability alone is nothing anyone really wants to engage with. Because there are tons of people I've played with where I'm like, they are like so amazing and I'll like never call them because they were miserable to be on a bus with or whatever. So do you want to do this one more time?
Yeah.
Do you want do scenario case study?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Of artist wants it to feel completely different.
Okay, yeah.
Artist wants like loopy, hip hoppy.
Okay, here's what we're going to do. All right, Steven, our fearless producer, artist, tell us what we did wrong and what we can do better.
To be clear, this isn't what Steven wants.
This is what the artist wants.
I will play the part of the artist who wants it. Who wants the beginning to feel like really loopy, like not be a like real drum track.
Mm-hmm.
And she really wants it to have, to your comment about like pushed rhythmic figures, like a doom, doom, doom. So a heavy emphasis on the doom, 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 doom.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, we have to do it at 100 beats per minute because the Pro Tools session, I can't change the tempo on.
And then
the artist loves the tempo.
And maybe...
Okay, so it'd be... or whatever the chord progression is, right? Okay, does that work?
Yeah.
Okay.
And maybe the chorus goes full Florida Georgia line or whatever. and it's like...
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of vibe. And did my loopy comment make sense in the verse too? Like rim click kind of, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And,
Okay.
Maybe something like.
So for the sake of the scenario, we cut that as the artist feedback. So now we have a brief chance
to decide how to interpret what the artist wants.
Totally.
Okay. So we're abandoning like the diamonds we put in the pre-chorus that doesn't hold, but we are assuming the 1 and 2 and 3 thing that still holds.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. First pre-chorus will no longer just be diamonds, but it will have the build going into the chorus.
And all the rhythmic figures apply.
But yeah,
that's gonna be hard.
Not having diamonds, we can still like embody the spirit of diamonds from like a even with like a continuing loop going under it. Like Kyle and I have tricks up our sleeves that we can do to like still give that element of like spacing it out.
It becomes more airy.
The thing I personally am nervous about is the referenced sort of loop feel is typically split bars. So that's going to be a musical challenge, is that we're not actually changing chords, but on that sort of groove. Because I'm used to playing that as like a...
Yep.
Right.
Sort of thing. And we don't have that. So these are just things I'm trying to think through. Yep. But it's fine. I mean, we've been given...
Them's the breaks from the artist, you know what I'm saying?
The artist wants that feel, but did not write that song. And so we are now... I mean,
which happens all the time. Yeah. Everything else still works, and
Can we double the outro?
Sure. Double the outro. Artist wants to double the outro.
4 bars didn't do it for me.
But still end on the 4E and a. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I think
Feel acquired.
the artist might have been right.
It wasn't.
I think it felt pretty good.
Yeah. There were a couple of things that I would do a take two, small things to fix, but other than that, the feel and the growth and all that is, and it worked because you were very specific with what part of the vibe you wanted changed and to what, and even gave references, which I feel is very helpful.
Yeah, we were potentially spoiled.
And they both were cool and had their spot. You know what I mean? Like, depending on the vibe of the song. Like, if it was like a, like party song, drinking beers down by the pier or whatever.
The first one would work.
Or I was thinking the opposite.
Yeah,
I was thinking this one had like a very...
That's the party.
Like,
party.
Bro rock
or the bro country.
Yeah, like
version.
not serious country vibe. But if it was like about like daddy's girl growing up and
right,
she just grew up so fast or whatever.
Steven's fighting for songwriter points on it now.
But do you know what I mean? Like, there's a place for both feels. So.
But that worked. That was great.
Yeah,
good work.
There's a few spots. Some of this is because we're playing it, live in the sense that we're just recording it once. As a guitarist, there's a few spots where I would make different choices if I was playing truly to record. Because I played some little figures and stuff that I would prefer to have a rhythm take that has none of that, but just for the sake.
And then I would also have at least up until the pre-chorus, like probably a program, like an actual programmed drum loop. Which I'm not going to fly in post.
That's fair. I get that.